What's up, guys? E-Drone here, and today we are going to be installing the last two items of the Martian 2 build. Stay tuned. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and go over the buzzer here. And if you watched my shout out video, you will know that the company I bought this buzzer from, link in description, is a wonderful company to deal with, eBay seller, all in market 14. It got lost in the mail, and they turned around and refunded me my money and sent me a free buzzer. So major shout out to all in market 14. This buzzer was just under $5, and we're going to go ahead and take a look, cut it open, and see exactly what you get in the package and how it's all laid out. First thing you'll notice is they pack it with a anti-static bag here, so you don't have to worry about it getting damaged in shipping. And here's the buzzer here, and they give you a little sticker covering the actual hole. And the wires are actually a very nice silicone wire. And they do give you a servo type plug on the end here. And for my purposes, I'm actually going to be cutting off the plug here and directly soldering the buzzer to the flight controller. But it's nice that they do give you that option with the plug, and the silicone wire is also a nice gesture. Item number 2, you'll see here, this was something that I kind of last minute added it on. But it's a nice 3D printed mount. It's actually designed for the Wizard X220, and it's made out of the 3D printed material, but it does, attach to the standoffs, and it will fit any, QAV type style frame. It's got multiple holes laid out for your buzzer, for your FPV antenna, and also for your 2.4 gigahertz receiver antennas. So it's a nice, it's a nice thing that's going to clean up the build. It's going to make everything look nice and neat. And as you can see, the buzzer just kind of slides in there and it pushes right in. And once we attach our antenna tubes down through those holes there, it's going to secure that buzzer into place and keep it from sliding in and out. Also, it keeps your angle at a nice angle for your antennas. I'm not sure the exact angle. I want to say it's probably close to a 45-degree angle, something like that, for your antenna spacing. But yeah, definitely it's a nice piece that was very inexpensive. I think it was like $11 on eBay. I'll put a link down in the description for this 3D printed mount for the Wizard. However, you can use it for any QAV style frame, and it's definitely going to tidy up things and keep things, a lot neater. So taking a look at the buzzer here, again, the sticker that you can just pull this off. Make sure you peel that off, after you're installed, because that's going to increase your sound a lot. Having that sticker on there actually muffles the sound quite a bit. But yeah, make sure you take that sticker off once you're done installing. But these were the last two items for the build, and I'm so excited that they're finally here. And we're going to go ahead and install both these items on the Martian 2 build right up in this video. Taking a look at the flight controller here, you'll see we have the BUZ buzz for the negative contact on the flight controller, and the 5-volt for the positive, the red wire of the buzzer right here on the flight controller. First thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to snip off this plug, since we're going to directly solder the buzzer directly to the flight controller. And I'm just going to measure it out and see how much wire I'm going to need to reach to the back where it's going to sit in the holder there. Once you trim your wire, you can see you just need a little bit. You can actually just use your fingernail. That's the easiest way to strip these silicone wires without, making a big mess or cutting the actual metal wire itself. Sometimes the wire is so small when you use strippers, it actually will cut some of the metal wire inside. So I just use my fingernail and just kind of pull it off to length. Now that we have our wires snipped and cut, We can go ahead and pre-tin our pads. So just need to turn the soldering up a little bit. You don't need too much heat. And we're going to go ahead and just, yep, they're just like that. Just a little bit of heat on the pads, and then transfer the solder over to get 2 nicely tinned pads here. Now we can go ahead and tin our wire. And the easiest way to do this is just lay the soldering iron down and just, yep, just like this. Just touch the wire onto the iron and just kind of rub that solder in. That way you get a nice flow and the whole wire is completely tinned. This method here works really great. It gets all the solder in the wire, but also it's just a lot easier to get it to wick into the wire. That looks good. You can see the wire is completely covered with the solder. Now we've got our wires tinned and our pads tinned, and now it's time to connect. And when you're working with really tiny wire like this, you have to be precise and you have to be quick. You see, I just touched that solder I put the wire right on top, and I just touched it very, very quickly and let it heat up, let the wire fall down through the solder, and then immediately remove the iron so it can cool off and hold it into position. This can be a little bit tricky and a little bit difficult when you're working with really, really tiny wire and really, really tiny soldering joints. And what I like to do is just give the wires a little tug just to make sure they're secure and make sure the joints are nice and shiny. Another tip, man, don't throw your wire away, your excess wire. Save it for another project, or if you have a crash, you might need some extra wire, and this is good silicone wire we don't want to get rid of. Now it's time to go ahead and test out this buzzer to make sure it's going to work. We're going to power on our radio. And we switch over to the Martian 2. I believe I still have the Tiny 7 selected. Just going to hit that menu button, scroll up, select Martian 2, select model, and you're good to go. Now we're going to need to apply power to our Martian 2 to test the buzzer. You cannot hook the Martian 2 up to a USB, and it will not give you enough power to check the buzzer. So just keep that in mind. You're going to need the full battery power of the 4-cell LiPo to check that buzzer out. Throw the switch on the transmitter, and you can hear it's working great. Taking a look at the adapter here, the 3D printed mount. You can see it's going to clean up all this area in the back where you have all these loose wires and cables. So it's a really nice 3D printed mount. It's got 2 spaces for your antennas that come out, and it's going to slide right on these standoffs, and it actually fits perfectly. It gives you a nice, tight, snug fit, and it goes all the way down, and it's going to just make this so much easier. Your antennas come out the side here. Obviously you're going to need to use your antenna tubes to feed these wires through, and then just stick your antenna tubes through there, and that's going to protect them from getting chopped up in the props. It also has a little notch in the top, which I'm going to use for the power wires. That way we can secure them with a zip tie to the top plate. As you can see, I went ahead and cut the antenna tubes to length. They were a little small for the 3D printed mount, so all I did was wrap some electrical tape around them, and now they fit perfect. Had to perform a slight modification. The hole that came in the 3D printed mount for the FPV antenna, the spot where it goes is just too thick, so we need a separate hole. Now you can see we have the hole drilled out here, and now this is going to allow for enough threads of the FPV antenna to push through. The original hole that came with it, the space where it's drilled through is just too thick, and it wasn't giving me enough threads to push out for the FPV antenna. So now it's going to work great. Now you can see we got the antennas all mounted in there, and it looks really, really clean. I am very happy with the way this turned out. The FPV antenna looks great, and so does the control antennas. They're sticking out just enough to where they're going to get good range but not get chopped up by those props. Now we can go ahead and install our top plate and get done with this build. To finish this build, we got our top plate here, and we're going to put that on the top. We're going to go ahead and screw it down, and then all we have left is our battery straps and our bottom little feet for our landing gear here. And once we get all this attached, we're going to go ahead and strap our battery strap. The race day quad strap, unfortunately, is too long for the build. So we're going to have to go with the Crazy Pony, which I like the race day quads better, but we got to use what's going to work, and the Crazy Pony is the right size. Also need to secure our VTX, and instead of zip tying it to the top plate, I'm just going to use some double-sided sticky tape and stick it on top of the flight controller. Yes, the build is finally done. Oh man, it's been a long time coming. But we're not ready to fly just yet. We still have to finish our programming series, and then we'll get this thing up in the air. But the build is completely done. The top plate is on. The VTX is secured. The power wire is secured in the rear with a zip tie. We have our battery strap ready to go, and as you can see with the Crazy Pony, it does fit. It's just the right length, and I gotta say, I am really happy with the way this turned out, and I love the fact that the back end is so clean with all the antennas and everything. That was a really nice touch, and there's going to be links down in the description for all those pieces that I used in the back, that one 3D printed mount. And I am just so happy that this build is finally done, and it looks great. I love that there's plenty of extra room inside the build to kind of get your fingers in there if you want to change your VTX, push the button, and so on and so forth. But and don't forget, double-sided tape is always handy. Thank you guys for watching so much. Stay tuned for my programming series that's going to finish off this build. Until next time, E-Drone out. Yeah.